Good morning and welcome to Beginning the Day with God on Friday the 7th of March. We opened our worship this morning with the well-known hymn, Fight the Good Fight. Today we continue our journey through a Celtic Lent. Renew and strengthen us, eternal God, as we prepare for resurrection.
This morning's reading comes from Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 9. Do you know that in a race the runners all compete, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win it. Athletes exercise self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable garland, but we an imperishable one. So I do not run aimlessly, nor do I box as though beating the air, but I punish my body and enslave it, so that after proclaiming to others, I myself should not be disqualified. Thanks be to God.
Now, today's reflection. Many people are dedicated to physical fitness and exercise. They go on park runs or run marathons for charity. Well, of course, these things don't just happen. They have to be trained for. There has to be some form of fitness regime and focused dedication to be able to stay fit. Some people are very determined to have the fittest body, and so are more dedicated at keeping up with the regime. Other people are happy to have a body which stays at the level of fitness which is comfortable for them, so they train a little but not too much. Still others aren't that bothered at all. The level of physical fitness which you want to achieve and maintain will determine the amount of effort you put in to make it and sustain it. And the amount of effort you put in to your physical fitness will have a direct result on how fit your body gets and stays. Well, just as this is the case for our physical selves, so it is the case for our inner and spiritual selves. Yesterday we looked at an ancient text which spoke of green martyrdom. Today we will dip into a modern book on Celtic Christianity, which has a chapter on green martyrdom and spiritual fitness. In Water from an Ancient Well, Kenneth MacIntosh begins this chapter with a story of a man going into a gym to look around to see whether he wants to join, only to find that no one is working out. They are simply sitting around. In the weights room, people are reading weightlifting magazines. The same scenario by the running machines with relevant magazines, all through the gym. Well, frustrated by what he sees, the man speaks to the woman showing him around at the end, and he says, "What on earth is wrong with these people? No one is working out. What kind of crazy place is this?" Oh, the woman sniffs. "You must be looking for one of those old-fashioned health clubs, where they make people feel guilty if they don't get on the machines." Our members all agree that they are happier not exerting themselves. After all, life's hard enough without making our muscles do all that unpleasant exercise. MacIntosh is, of course, using this ridiculous story, which is much funnier in full as he tells it, to parallel the spiritual life without spiritual disciplines. And he says, contemporary Christianity is often a lot like a non-exercising health club. And in the same chapter he goes on to say this: the ancient Celts, engaged in robust spiritual exercises, they weren't afraid of sweat. The stories of Antony of Egypt inspired them. They paid attention when Anthony spoke of ascesis, a Greek word that literally translates rigour and denotes spiritual discipline. Furthermore, and this had great impact on Celtic spirituality, Anthony insisted that ascesis required physical practices. The Celtic Christians took green martyrdom very seriously, partly because this could include the lay people who had everyday jobs, such as the farmers, etc., who were connected with the monastic community. It wasn't just for the monks and the nuns who had committed to white martyrdom as well. We too can commit to this green martyrdom, this idea of practicing spiritual disciplines. Amen.
We now come to our contemplation, our thought for today. Leading on from yesterday's contemplation, today spend time with God now, as if God was showing you around a spiritual gym. What disciplines are you willing to commit to in order to bring up the fitness level of your inner and spiritual self? Remember, the amount of effort you put in will directly affect the level of fitness. So, for example, if you build up to practicing an hour of silent contemplative prayer each day, you will have a much greater sense of divine peace than someone who just does a minute of it, or none at all.
We join together now in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Gracious loving one, you have given me a body to care for, but it is not separate from my soul and spirit. May I see that each are as important as the other. May I be committed to the spiritual disciplines which you draw me to, so that I can be as spiritually fit as I can be. Amen. Renew and strengthen us, eternal God, as we prepare for resurrection. Amen.